Okay, so to hold the rose nail, assuming that you're a righty, you're going to hold the rose nail in your left hand and the bag in your right hand. When we're holding the rose nail, we're going to hold it between our thumb and our middle and pointer finger, just like that. So what you might want to do first is to just practice spinning the rose nail back and forth on the tips of your finger using your thumb, your pointer, and your middle. I will tell you it's easier to do when you don't have gloves on. The only thing is that often the health department's going to require that you have gloves on. So my advice is you start practicing from the beginning with gloves on, and then you'll be used to it. If you really are having trouble with the rose nail spinning back and forth with gloves on, then it's fine. Take the glove off and just hold the rose nail in your hand, and you'll be able to make roses that way. I'm going to break this up into a couple little bits of video, and you'll see me restarting each time, because if the videos get too long, I can't transfer them up and upload them. Okay, so first step is, of course, holding the rose nail in between your thumb, pointer, and middle finger. The next thing we're going to do with holding our bag with the wide part down is we're going to just put a little blob of icing right in the center of the rose nail. The purpose of that is so that the rose stays centered on the rose nail and it's not moving all around. From there, I'm going to squeeze the bag, and as I'm squeezing the bag, I'm turning the rose nail, and I'm basically making the equivalent of a cone or a teepee shape. Okay, that's going to be step one. I know it looks easy when I'm doing it here, and it's not going to be so much when you're doing it. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make another one of those cones or teepees right halfway up that first one. So starting with the tip, wide part on the bottom, halfway up, I'm going to squeeze and turn. Again, it looks easy. First few times, frustratingly difficult. Okay, that's pretty much the core of the rose. And from here, we're going to start icing petals backwards. I'm going to make a motion of an up and down with the bag. And as I'm doing that, I'm going to be spinning the rose nail the opposite direction. Okay, so I'm going to squeeze, and I'm going to turn, and I'm going to make a petal. And as you see, that looks like it starts in one section and it finishes in the other, and I'm kind of breaking it off from there. The next petal in a rose would always start where that one is. So we're going to start with squeezing up, coming down, and now we have our second petal. And we're just basically going to repeat that over and over until we have what looks like an icing rose. From there, I will just take a pair of scissors, open them up a little bit, get under the rose, it comes right off, and I would go right down onto my cake. Some people like to make their roses ahead of time, and they freeze them or they refrigerate them, and then put them on the cake. I prefer to just do it right onto the cake, but whichever is easier for you is what you'll do. So, to repeat, we're going to put a blob down in the center. We're going to make the equivalent of a teepee or a cone, and then we are going to just make our petals one at a time and spinning them around. And as you can see, it only takes but about 5 to 10 seconds to make a rose, so you could see cost-wise why it becomes the favored rose for most cakes. Again, take your time, have patience, and practice. If your icing is the right consistency, it will make the job much easier. If the icing is too thin, it's going to just come out and be a mess. And if the icing is too stiff, you're not going to be able to make a rose.